HDMI or USB. Oh, I don't even have an HDMI on this thing.
Yeah, I know. That's like yours. It doesn't have anything.
I don't have. Okay. Ooh, this is a great angle. I love Zoom.
It definitely makes you aware of your mannerisms.
Oh, for sure.
Like when you see the little box and you realize how much you touch your hair.
Oh,
how much you.
Because all you do is look at yourself.
Especially when other kids are filming themselves. Yeah.
Right? When you're looking at black boxes, I got to the point where I hid my self view. Like there's a hide self view because I just couldn't. It was so like wearing to look at myself all the time. So. All right. And then I hide the video participants. So then so then if nobody has their camera on and then it's just you're looking at a giant you. Zoom problems.
How do you know if people are still there?
I don't.
Yeah.
I got to the point where I didn't.
Yeah.
I was like, screw you guys.
Yeah.
That's a horrible attitude, I'm sure.
I love the ones that will show themselves though, because they really want to interact with you.
Right.
Like I had this boy, even his name, Quentin, and he just, hi, Mrs. Green.
Oh, but you have middle schoolers.
I love him.
He probably didn't know you in the classroom.
Well, actually, this kid, I talk about him all the time because he'd hold the door open every day for all the kids to walk in. And I'm like, he is the sweetest little boy. I hope you stay that way. So, but they like gave him a
Unmute me. Let that person in. Hello.
Hiya. No, you were there.
Okay, so
She's being a pain.
This is going to be one of those times where the Zoom people have the advantage because I don't have the right plugin to use the projector. So if one of you wants to pull up a laptop and like click along with me, I'm going to talk about National FFA, like their website and their resources, which would probably be helpful for you guys to be able to see what I'm talking about. Or I can just click away on my thing on my, we'll just make people seasick on my tablet. I will go from there. So I don't know how many years ago now, all the years blend together. A couple of years ago, Abby was like, hey, you should sign up for this National FFA Teacher Ambassador thing. And I was like, okay. And I did. And I went on this like 48-hour trip to Indy for like a 12 hours of training and whatever it was. It was a lot of good information that I was able to take away from it. And I did not continue with the program just because of scheduling. And the one I ended up going to was my 4th year at Snohomish. And so it was my first 4-year graduating group from that high school. And I was in India, I had to miss graduation. And it was a couple days before finals and everything else. So I just didn't want to mess with that. And missing the end of the year like that because because it's a nationwide program. So a lot of the schools in other parts of the country are out in May and early June. So the program itself is really good, really beneficial. I know this year was a virtual deal like everything else, but Amber Tenery is, she works for National FFA. She's a great resource. So National FFA has put together tons of resources for us. Oh, it helps if it's connected. It's like, why is my mouse not moving? Tons of resources for us as educators of ag education. So although, National FFA is FFA, they have provided a lot of resources for us as teachers for the classroom and for curriculum, ways to help integrate those things into the classroom. And that's one thing I'm not always very good at. So I like things that make it easier for me. So if you go to National FFA, you go to that teacher advisor portal where you go to do your beloved roster, everybody's favorite thing. There is an educator resources tab. Okay, hold on. This is where I'm going to struggle. Let me share my Zoom screen. Make you all fine. Are you in my waiting room? There you are. There you are. I have my sound down. It didn't ding at me. Or it's somebody else's setting, so it didn't ding at me, I guess. Mine usually dings when somebody comes into my waiting room. Okay, so mute yourself. Okay, are we safe now? Yes. Okay. So again, sorry, I don't have the right dongle to hook up, so you can click along with me, or I guess I can kind of turn this a little bit, or you can log into Zoom. When I had kids, hybrid, I had kids on Zoom and kids in my class at the same time, but I never made my in-class kids get on Zoom. I was like, well, why do the in-class kids need to get on Zoom, right? And there would be teachers, I'd be standing there and somebody would be in the hall, okay, log into Zoom. And I was like, why do they need to log into Zoom if they're in your room with you? And then we had these bizarre teachers that put in for to remain remote for whatever medical reason they had. And so then there's a sub in their classroom that had to turn on the Zoom so that the kids that were in person could watch their teachers Zoom in. So, I mean, all of the potential fun things here. Okay, so National FFA website, educator resources, it's a tab down here. And there is a lot more stuff on here than even I have realized over the past couple of years. Pertaining to specific CDE, LDE, because that's kind of what we're trying to focus on for this section of time. If in the what's new, if you scroll down just a little bit, there's what's new, lesson plans, educator guides, program management, and professional growth. Under what's new, there's CDE, LDE, and AgriScience research choice boards. I don't know about you guys, but I love me a choice board, right? They were really fantastic, especially during the pandemic. You're like, go do 2 choice boards this week. You pick your topics, whatever it is. But if we look at those, everything's in box. And so you're going to have it in different formats. So there's CDE and LDE posters, this AgriScience research choice board. There's my email. Let's see, AgriScience research choice board, and the posters. So there's various choice boards there that you can look at, and it's all made up. Obviously it's logoed because National FFA created all this stuff, but it does have standards, AFNR, and things like that go with it. So then you can see, the different choice boards. They can select complete the competitive events crossword found here, identify benefits to completing an event through FFA. So you could do it so they could look at any CDE, or you could specify, like if you want them to research AgCom or food science or something like that, you could specify, I want you to do this for this contest. You can do whatever choices you want for that. It just depends on what you like. And then they put in things like there's crossword. And so they put together pretty comprehensive, like start to finish. It's not just like a snapshot of like a choice board, but you have them do the choice board and you can have them do this and then you can have them do this. And so it kind of works together to put together a pretty good lesson plan. A lot of the stuff here, they have tried to make it somewhat relevant and create a Snapchat filter, right? Or an Instagram announcement or a Facebook post regarding the contest that you've been researching, or, trying to make it relevant to the way that they communicate in their daily lives. One thing I have found a lot with these, if you set it up a little bit, some of these resources make really great subplans. Like if you look at like just this one I'm scrolling through, this could be 3 or 4 or 5 days with a sub, depending on the speed at which your kids work, right? Could be a self-paced thing. It could be, take all of our Google Classrooms or whatever in 1 page per day, and they have to do a page per day and submit it, whatever the whatever your time expectation might be. Planning for learning, how does this apply? And so it just kind of goes on. It's pretty comprehensive, and it usually has like a timing, kind of a pacing guide too, like 1 period, 2 periods. and things like that. One thing that I saw on here, if we go back to that what's new, there's actually now a Spanish resources tab. And if we look at that, it gives us lesson plans, the FFA student handbook, current events, SAE idea cards, all of these things in Spanish. So they're already they're already translated in, so it's one less step. So if you have that language barrier, it's a way to include those kids, inclusivity and equity and all that kind of stuff, right? But it's all done for you. So you don't have to go like drop your document into Google Translate and see it translated poorly and have them be like, what did you just send me, right? So obviously not everything is available in the Spanish resources, but there's even the SAE idea cards. So I use these idea cards with my kids a ton, not necessarily a Spanish version, but then, so they're the same cards, same picture, same information. It's just all slowly loading in that PDF format. So then they can read about these SAE opportunities in their first language. So it just makes it a little bit more available for them. Oh, that's not right. Hold on, where'd I go? There's our Google Drives for the week. Okay, hold on, I swear I know how to use my computer here. So those are a couple things. There's SAE for All, which I think we've all heard about over the last couple of years. There's a link there. If you're struggling with SAE in the classroom, there's some good resources there. I'm not going to go into that a ton because I just don't know that much about it. Lesson plans. This is something that they have not done a good job of sharing. Thank you. So these are kind of those plug and play. So there's job interview document, jobs and applications. So there's a PowerPoint and a couple of documents to go along with it. So there's agri-science fair, employment skills, floriculture, and nursery landscape. So these four have some pretty decent units of classroom resources that go along with the different components of the contest. So that could be a good resource if you're looking for like learning the contest or how to incorporate it in your classroom a little bit better. What else here? Go back. How far back do I need to go? Do I just keep going in circles? Sometimes it feels that way. Again, on this lesson plan tab, there's ag literacy and advocacy. That's one of the things we're going to hear about later with Dylan is the importance of literacy and advocacy. And again, there's some lessons built in there. there is under the educator guides. So if we just kind of work our way across here, with our educator guides, there is bell ringers, FFA fundamentals, choice board. And so that's like your basic like FFA knowledge. So it's not specific to a contest necessarily, but it's just overall, you know, FFA was started in this year, the first whoever officer was this year. And then there's a scavenger hunt choice board. So there's a couple of different FFA overall FFA resources there. The SAE idea cards and the video choice boards, I really like to use those with my kids because my kids are always really kind of stale coming up with like ideas, right? And I don't have kids that are going to go, you know, raise a bunch of chickens or pigs in their backyard. Like we have to kind of think out of the box. So I'm like, well, these are really big ideas, but you could take this part of it and go with it. And so it just kind of exposes them. I usually do the Ag Explorer, the career. Have you guys seen the Ag Explorer with the career finder? That career finder is linked in to all of these same SAE idea cards. And so as they go through the Choice Explorer or the Ag Explorer career finder, it'll be like, these are SAEs related to the career that it's selected for you. And so it all kind of ties together. And then there's SAE videos. And these are all like national proficiency, SAE, like video resources. But this is another thing, like you could set up this choice board where they do at least one of the following tasks each week for 6 weeks. And so it could just be like every Friday they do something from their choice board, right? Whether it's an FFA choice board or SAE or something, so that you're just constantly bringing that back to the forefront as you go through it. And it doesn't have to be one a week. I mean, it could be whatever time frame you want. There's a 9-week plan, like a 1 semester, a 2nd semester. So there's set up in a lot of different ways, depending, you know, so if something like that would be beneficial, you can figure out the time frame that would work for you in your space. Again, hopefully we know that there are hold on, where am I? Oh, these bell ringers. I don't know if you guys have seen these bell ringers. I think Nathan and I shared them 3 years ago now. But if you are one that likes bell ringers, like daily entry task type things, this is I can't see the number of pages, many paged document of bell ringers organized by content. So there's agribusiness systems, animal systems, food products, inspirational quotes. So maybe leadership and FFA. So if you wanted to do like your FFA units, you wanted your daily entry tasks to be related to that, you can go down to that page and there's a variety of like multiple choice questions that could be your bell ringer for the day. And it will tell you what component of the 3-circle model that bell ringer hits. So if you could be any fruit, what fruit would you be and why? You know, it's everything from what year were females allowed membership to if you could be any fruit. And that's just in that FFA section. E.M. Tiffany wrote the creed to represent the values of FFA. Create your personal creed. How does this represent your values? Something like that is obviously a little bit more involved than a multiple choice question, but is also can be pretty beneficial to some of the kids. So those are some of your FFA entry tasks. I just want to click on a different content here just to share. We'll go careers and SAE. Go to Ag Explorer, complete the career finder. Video journaling, watch a short clip and share out like what you watched. What are the 3 parts of the 3-circle model? Identifying like a description and what like award category it would fall into and things like that. So, you know, thinking about Not that Denny was very nice to us, but how we all suck at SAEs. Some ways to bring that knowledge to our kids. We don't all suck at SAEs, by the way. We don't. We're just not all on Denny's level. I love you, Denny, if you watch this. This is recording. So tons of bell ringer ideas there for you to use. And then I'm gonna not embarrass myself, but I've got to think here. Yeah, if you go to program management, then the CDE and LDE resources, this is where you're going to find all of your past or the CDE like resource guides, the handbooks, the national level handbooks, past tests, past practicums, keys for everything. So like food science, if we click on that one, you'll see resources, convention information, and then the handbook. So that's going to be the most updated handbook. If we look at resources, past tests and practicums are here. It's going to tell you, this is information for like a poster to promote the contest and then national level sponsors and documents and stuff. Then if you keep going in, they have done a good job over time of archiving. They've got back to 2007 in here. So you can really go back quite a ways and look at some old resources, old tests, and things like that. So you've got their ingredient and cost thing, their marketing scenario, their test with a key, safety and sanitation practice. And so you can kind of look through customer complaint letters. And so there's a lot of good resources here. There's been a couple of different things, AgCom being one of them that I have gone through, and I've been like, I'm trying to do a portfolio for AgCom, and I'm like, what is this paragraph supposed to be about? Or what is this, topic supposed to be about? And they have past national portfolios for AgCom uploaded, right? So there are resources there to help you dissect some of the stuff in the handbooks that might kind of sound like gibberish at first. So I'm gonna show you one of those. Get out of food science real quick. And I haven't clicked on ag issues because I don't do that one. But I would imagine, well, here, let's click on it together. I would imagine that ag issues is another one that would have some past portfolios, past tests and practicums. See if I make myself a liar here. Okay, yeah, so you've got 4 different portfolios uploaded here. You've got Tennessee, Kentucky, Iowa, and California. I have no idea who won that year. But then you can be like, okay, well, what does it look like in Tennessee? Like, what does the winning thing coming out of Tennessee look like? And then you can see there, what their portfolio looks like. How do they put it together, right? And then, if you're real motivated, you could go back and see who won that year and then really dissect, the winners stuff and how they recorded their site visits and things like that, because ag issues, like a lot of them, like once you figure out how to do the portfolio, you got that, and then you can work on the next piece. So like as you lock down the different pieces of the contest, there's a lot of things here that will help you, get on to the next step. Go back some more, back. So yeah, there's folders for all of the national level contests here: employment skills, horse, floral, forestry, conduct of chapters, and so on. And then the last tab over here, professional growth, is professional opportunities that National FFA is trying to provide. They've got the Ag Ed Academy, which honestly I don't know anything about. Convention workshops are the ones that they've offered for teachers. at National Convention, the Teacher Ambassador Program that I took part in. There's information about that. This Owl Chats, if you're into like, and none of us are into video learning right now, or if you're like me, like, anyway, but when you're in the mood, or if you want to, you know, hit play and listen podcast style, there are various resources on this Owl Chats that talks about different pathways and resources and tips for creating meaningful learning. And honestly, I have not watched / listened to these, but I was looking through here and there's a lot of really good topics talking about pathways, teacher workshops, FFA member engagement and recruitment, engaging FFA members, you know, power structure pathway. So there's lots of, I mean, there's not a ton of them, but it's a good start to, you know, get you some more information. So there is, you know, a zillion other things I did not click on this. And I keep going to my Google Drive. I just really want to show off my Google Drive. A million things I could click on here. I don't need to click on them all. If you know how to get here, I encourage you to spend some time exploring it. They did do some remote teaching resources where they put together tips and tricks to make National FFA educator resources more usable at a distance. Pick what you need, and they're again organized. They're all hyperlinked here on this page. Advocacy modules, Ag Explorer. There's one down here. I'm curious because my kid would like be obsessed with it, but there's a Minecraft education version. And so it's like agriculturally related, like Minecraft stuff. And so if you have kids that are obsessed with Minecraft, that could be a cool resource. Sustainability, the resume generator that nobody likes. I don't really have a filter anymore. So tons of resources throughout this whole educator resource section. I have about, we have about 15 more minutes. I would love if anybody else had resources to share or ideas of things that they do to, not necessarily from National FFA, but to incorporate, you know, FFA in the classroom or SAE.
I was just gonna say the Ag Academy was at one time kind of like some modules that you could move through to learn more about FFA. So some of our type 2 teachers coming in would be a good resource for them.
Okay, so the Ag Academy.
Still a Q&A format. And then the NAAE just rewrote the Ag Teachers Handbook, and it's going to be posted here when we publish it.
And NAE, what'd you call it?
The Ag Teachers Handbook. Used to be in that professional growth section, and I don't know if it's hidden in there somewhere.
In National FFA? Okay.
Okay. We were just ready to do the final edits when everything got shut down.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not sure yet where we are on that.
Something that I've found useful when we went into the hybrid learning and the whole online teaching, we started using the ICVE curriculum. And the nice thing about ICVE is that no matter what you're teaching, once you apply for their curriculum, you have access to all of it. So there's a lot of, basically all of the old judging videos, all of the old CDE resources are all on there as well. And so you have access to all of those. They have interactive questions for the kids to access. So it's really useful from that standpoint for training teams. You can actually release things to like a Google Classroom, and the kids can just train on their own, or you can have them used in class as an interactive thing.
Very cool. Thanks, Denise. What else? What else do we have? You know, we're in animal science before this, and it was really, we want to try to encourage the sharing, right? So we're all experts in our own way. There's things that Annette is amazing at that I suck at. There's things that Randy is amazing at that that Josh isn't good at. But if we can pick on people, it's kind of like Rusty. If I don't pick on you, which means I don't really know you very well.
I was gonna say, if anybody's offering science credit, the Wonders of Science website is amazing.
Okay.
They like break down it by the science standards, and they have tons of assessments, and they give you examples of like charts you can do, and they have phenomenons you can use.
Wonders of Science.
It's just a website, the Wonders or the Wonder of Science. I use it all the time.
All right. What else? What other kind of things can we share?
I discovered the online Gizmos platform.
Gizmos?
Gizmos. And they were online labs.
Online.
You can do some without paying, but it wasn't totally out of line their year subscription.
Okay. So,
I
and that was a
remember what it was.
subscription?
Yeah, but you can get like 3 or 4 of them before you have to subscribe.
Okay. Sorry for my typos, Zoom friends.
I just put the link onto the website of the Explore Learning of what they were talking about, the gizmos. It's pretty cool. I used it before in Elias class when I was her long-term sub, and the students really liked it because it's really interactive.
Very cool.
You can do a seed germination experiment in a day.
Speed up your learning.
It was kind of nice.
Yeah. What else? What about you, Matt? Put Matt on the spot. What's something you do or use or have a question about or need?
I get tons of stuff.
I don't know.
You don't know. What are you here
For
for?
once in a lifetime, you're catching me in a silence here.
Oh gosh.
Never
You caught him
seen.
in his nap.
Right? Apparently just came in here to sleep. The
Yeah.
theater is a nice room, I gotta say. We got the good space back here.
Okay, I got a weird one for ag teachers, but if you teach floral, so Deep Space Sparkle, and you do have to have a membership, but they have some free ones, but our school bought a membership to it, and it's like art based. But like if you do principles of art, it's perfect. I
Okay.
used it for all kinds of stuff, even just in my science class, because I had a lot of kids that like doing art.
Yeah. Yeah. More ideas to integrate, get kids think about science in a different
Yeah.
way.
Well, I even did it in my leadership class. Like they had to do a self-portrait
Mhm.
and it had them do a background of where they feel comfortable or most like them. So it made them reflect.
All the reflecting. Hey, Chad, what do you got?
FFA stuff, no. I was thinking when you said sub-plans, those are also important. So what I built before the COVID hit was, there's America's Heartland videos on YouTube, and there's the Washington Grown. So like say when I go to the aquaculture and agri-science unit, right? You can go and you can find America's Heartland on aquaculture in Maryland or Washington. And then, ahead of time, I don't know, I just watch it at night because there's nothing better to do. So then I'll write down the questions, right? And then they also have there's a section where they flip on ag facts and this and that. So those are the key points. And I just make the worksheet and, that show lasts 26 minutes. Well, that's half the period. And then I know that takes care of one sub and it's like, sub plan done.
Cool.
That's all I got.
I found one of the choice boards I found that I did the last few weeks of school had students watch, like it was for animal science, and I had them watch like an episode of Dr. Pol and write down like different things that they observed, like animals he treated and stuff like that. And one of the boxes had to do with like the emotional toll that the veterinary industry takes on vets. So there's a lot of like those TV shows out there that are actually pretty educational. Well, I had my kids, I don't know about your kids, my kids sat on, like, even in the classroom, they came in, they sat silently. I guess the people who are online longer probably experience that a lot more. But my kids would come in and they'd sit down and they would just not talk. And so I got to the point where like I played music just for background noise, but then I'm like, oh, even I'm bored. So then I would start putting on like Dr. Pol or Heartland Vets. Heartland Docs is another good one. It's very agricultural. And we watched Temple Grandin in one of my classes. And it's just exposes them to different angles of the industry. So there's a lot of good stuff out there. The Food That Built America. I don't know if you guys have checked that out yet. That's amazing. I love listening to the story and the history of how our nation of food has grown and changed over time.
Oh, you know, another fun one that they really like now that we're talking that is, I'll do those farm parody songs only on Friday. So like it's Friday video, they call it. So I'll do my
Peterson Brothers.
I'll do my attendance while that video's going.
Mhm.
And so eventually they learn like machines. And so, you know, what machines do you see? Oh, I saw a manure sprayer, the corn planter, and they write them all down.
Mhm.
And then like at the end of the month or whatever, they turn it in and like, who had the most, you know, different machines. And they really kind of like that.
Oh,
And
that's
it was
fun.
just for fun, you know?
And that's
There was no
another
points, but it was just
entry
like,
test.
who had the glory of
yeah.
figuring out theory.
Who gets the sundae today or the ice
Exactly.
cream or whatever?
I was doing stuff kind of like that, but making my leadership kids create TikToks. And then
Okay.
we would watch them in my other classes to educate. And
That's
that
cool.
they like, but I teach middle school, so they're
Yeah.
into that.
That's all super cool.
I found in Teacher Pay Teachers, a Journey to Mars packet, set, lesson, whatever you want to call it, that we talked about at the beginning of the year, what it takes to grow our food. So now what's it going to take to problem solve and move to Mars, or how are we going to, it was kind of a twist on the 2050, feeding the world in 2050 piece.
Okay.
Just for something different
Yeah.
to get them, I made them talk. 'Cause I
Oh
made
my
'em do-
gosh, you're so mean.
I was, but that was their final.
Yeah.
Charades is another way to make them do stuff.
Yeah.
To if it's too quiet.
Yeah. And then to piggyback off that, if you don't know about Journey 2050, Journey
Right.
2050 is a great resource. It's like an online simulated farming game. But they log in through your class code and there's a set of lessons and PowerPoints and stuff that goes, and they have to farm in Canada, in Kenya, and India. They have to run 3 farms, and it's all about keeping the sustainability of the land, the environment, and the economy all in balance. So if you spend all your money on, you know, so you can only, your production is limited by one of those 3 things. So whichever one is the lowest. And so it makes you make choices to try to keep that sustainability barrel, they call it, as even and as high as possible. So you can have your maximum yields. So that was one thing I did. Like, I think there's 7 lessons total. And so I did like, I saw my kids 2.5 days a week. So I did like 2 lessons a week for 3 weeks. And so we ran through, and so I'd go through whatever the content for that, because it's set up, each level has a different focus. So the first level was water, and the second level was fertilizer, and the third level was economy, or, you know, whatever it is. So you can have a good, 30-minute conversation about whatever the topic is, and then have them jump on and do like the 10-minute little simulation. And so it's kind of a fun way to, again, make them more aware, especially our kids that are less aware of their food sources and the journey that their food takes. So that's another good one too. Animal rights and welfare, dog lover in Temple Grandin. I don't know the dog lover, but I love Temple Grandin. So anyway, got about 5 minutes. If you have anything you want to share, we do have Google Drive set up for all of these. So if you have something from, whatever it is that would be useful to share, either send it to me or I'll help, or we'll get it dropped into the Google Drive so that we all have access to this. So anyway, thank you guys for your time. Take a quick break, and then we have one more speaker session this afternoon. It should be good though. I know it's a long day, but it's better in here than outside where it's 95.
And Dylan's at 3:30?
Dylan's at 3, I believe.
Oh, well, it's almost 3.
Yes, that's
Cool.
why I
Alright.
was letting you go.
All right.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.